Next up is the New Orleans Saints. They were 9-8 in 2021, missed out on the playoffs in a season that was just filled with injuries and all sorts of weirdness going on there. But your passing leader last year, Jameis Winston, let's put a big asterisk next to this one, right? He had 1,170 yards. Of course, he missed about half the season with a knee injury, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was your QB 33. Of course, they had to use a number of different guys at that spot last year. Your rushing leader, Alvin Kamara, 898 yards on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns. RB8, because, of course, we know Alvin Kamara is going to catch the football. Your receiving leader, yardage-wise, Marquez Callaway, 46 catches, 698 yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. That made him the wide receiver 43. Your team leader in receptions, the aforementioned Alvin Kamara, 47 catches, 439 yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. It feels like when we've talked about running backs this year, we haven't talked a lot about Alvin Kamara. In the past, I get it. We didn't talk about him because you're like, whatever, Alvin Kamara, he's a top 5 running back. No doubt about it. Just book it and we just all move on. This year's been different because he's coming off the board as a fringe RB1. I mean, you look at him, he's getting drafted as maybe the 10th, 11th, 12th running back off the board. There are a lot of questions about the Saints offense. I mean, as I was putting this rundown together, I'm like, we could do a whole show on the Saints offense because there's so much unknown about it. So is Alvin Kamara still a surefire, set it and forget it RB1 this year?
I think he's like a surefire, set it and forget it in your fantasy lineup, but RB1, I think being fringe is appropriate value for Alvin Kamara because last year was the first year without Drew Brees, and I know people like to say, well, he had more targets and receptions with Jameis Winston, and that is true, but he was 81 or more every single year with Drew Brees. First year without Drew Brees, 47, which I was shocked to realize led the Saints. Like, that is an insanely low number. I still think he's good for 50 to 60 catches, something like that, but he's not going to give you the 80 plus. I don't think that he always did with Drew Brees. And then you add in that, to me, I think he belongs in the same grouping as like a DeAndre Swift and the running backs that he's kind of going around, who all have the upside to be a top 5 running back, but also could finish like 10 through 12 or something like that at the position.
You talk about the target share that Kamara had and the fact that he only had 47 catches. And even though he was highly targeted by Jameis Winston, I think it's also important to note that he was heavily targeted by Jameis Winston in an offense that didn't have Michael Thomas.
Yep.
I remember this time last year, we were trying to talk ourselves into the Marquez Callaways, the Traquan Smiths. We were trying to convince ourselves that these guys had sort of late round value.
They might not see the field this year.
Right? Thomas is back. Chris Olave is there. They brought in Jarvis Landry, who, look, I know he's not necessarily a fantasy darling, but he's a good real-life football player.
I think he's a big threat to Alvin Kamara because they never had a receiver who can be like that short yardage route runner like Alvin Kamara has been for them.
So, I mean, I'm just curious as to what the target share is. Will it sort of be the same? I guess the upside is we don't have Taysom Hill to take any of those goal line carries away from him anymore, so maybe the touchdown upside is there a little bit, but I don't know that the receiving upside for Kamara is going to be this year what it has been in the past. Speaking of receiving upside, Michael Thomas is back, and for me, he has been one of those guys that's been really hard to figure. It's not that long ago that he was setting the NFL record for receptions in a season. Not that long ago that he was being nicknamed Slant Boy, which got him really fired up on Twitter and social media. But it's been a couple years since we've seen him actually in action. Like I said, I've had a hard time slotting him, figuring out what to do with him. So my question is he going to eat? What do you expect from Michael Thomas this year?
Yeah, I'm exactly like you. I think his range of outcomes is so vast. Like, could he be a top 12 wide receiver if he stays healthy? I think so. Or could he, just kind of get hurt, miss a bunch of time, and fall flat on his face? I think so. So because of that, I have him ranked right now as my wide receiver 24. And I will fully admit he can easily outlive that draft ranking and be, like I said, a top 12 wide receiver, but just the unknown, he hasn't played in 2 years. There's injury, and there's also more target competition for him than ever before because previous teams, it was like he was their whole wide receiver room. Now the Olave, Landry, Kamara. So I think the upside is there, definitely an upside shot worth taking, but I'm not drafting him anywhere close to how we were a year or two ago.
From 2017 to 2019, he had a minimum 24% target share. That insane 2019 season he had a 30% target share. That's not going to happen this year.
I don't think so.
It's not. And look, they're moving him presumably to the outside now, right? With Jarvis Landry there, you're not going to have Michael Thomas still living in the slot. At least I don't believe that's going to be the case. And this isn't to say he can't win on the outside, but it is different. There are more places for Jameis Winston to go with the football. The other part of this is we haven't seen Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas together, so we're not really sure what that's going to look like. I can tell you that I've only drafted him in a couple of spots, and it's sort of, in some ways, it's like Chris Godwin, right? Where I'm taking him kind of as a third or fourth wide receiver. Whereas I have faith in Godwin to get healthy and have a rapport with his quarterback and get those opportunities, everything about Thomas is such an unknown to me. And I know I've seen his ADP rising. I've seen him now kind of bump it up to the 5th round in some situations. That feels a little scary to me.
And as you said, the Chris Godwin thing, that was what was like going through my head. I'm like, he's kind of similar to Chris Godwin in the sense of like the upside is very high, but the floor is just like there's a lot of unknown with this guy. And I know maybe it sounds like a cop-out answer, but like if anyone is telling you they definitively know what Michael Thomas is going to do this year, they're lying.
That person's lying to you.
Yeah.
That person is lying to you because we just don't know. That's why for me it's been really hard to peg the Saints offense as a whole. There's so much unknown. I mean, I know Pete Carmichael's still there as the offensive coordinator, but there's a new head coach. Hopefully we get a full season of Jameis Winston. There are new pieces in this offense. There's just so much about this.
Taysom Hill's playing tight end full time.
Taysom Hill's playing tight end right now. So there's just so much we just don't know that it's really made it hard. And I know lately I've seen a lot of people sort of planting the flag for Michael Thomas. And look, I wish you well, man. I hope it works out. I really do. I have no ill will toward Michael Thomas. I just don't know. So for the most part, I have kind of stayed away. So, all right. So that gets us to our typical question here. First player drafted, your sleeper, and your player to avoid.
First player drafted is still Alvin Kamara. Despite, the fact that I said I don't value him as highly as I used to last year, I still think he's a great second-round pick, much like Leonard Fournette, even more of a reason to take a wide receiver in round 1, grab the running back in round 2. Sleeper, Chris Olave, to me, I think, is a really good sleeper. I know he got overlooked a little bit in the draft because of Garrett Wilson, and he was one of the big 5 wide receivers, but then he fell to the Saints, and everyone was like, not a great landing spot. But I think he can be one of those receivers that even if he doesn't have all the volume, I think his efficiency could make up for it there. Player to avoid, I'd want nothing to do with Jarvis Landry. We're talking about an aging receiver who is going to be running a lot of short routes. I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to the volume that he had in Miami or Cleveland. So to me, I think Jarvis Landry is more of a name than an actual fantasy asset.
Yeah, I think Jarvis Landry is he's a good real life football player who I think can do some good things for the Saints, but not necessarily for my fantasy team. Kamara is easily the first guy off the board. He's still going as an early second round pick, so he's going to be the first Saint that you're taking there. I'm going to go sort of deep sleeper, and maybe this is sort of wish casting, but Mark Ingram is still hanging around there.
True.
He's still hanging around there in New Orleans. And yes, he's not the player he was a few years ago, but still can be an effective running back.
We saw it last year in the little bit that he played for the Saints.
Right. I mean, even when he left Houston, he still was their leading rusher for a really long time after he left, although that probably has more to do with the Texans than it had to do with Mark Ingram, but he's still there. A guy potentially with some touchdown upside. I'm going to, look, if you're drafting him, he's last pick of the draft sort of thing. Maybe he's a waiver wire pickup, but if something happens to Alvin Kamara, then he stands to really gain in that offense. Player to avoid, I'm kind of with you. I mean, you can make it Jarvis Landry. You can, I guess, just for the sake of telling fantasy Twitter, let's stop with the Taysom Hill thing, right? He's a tight end. He's officially a tight end now. We can stop.
The only place where it's appropriate to draft Taysom Hill is in the 18th round of a best ball draft, just in case he gets quarterback snaps this year or something like that. Besides that, he should not be on your fantasy roster.
I hesitate to bring this up, but those years, man, where we just used to have to battle about position eligibility for Taysom Hill.
If something happens to Jameis Winston and they go to Taysom Hill, it's going to happen all over again because he's now a tight end everywhere.
Right, but they have Andy Dalton, so
I forgot about
they have Andy Dalton, so we at least have a buffer before we get to this Taysom Hill argument. The Red Rifle can come in and at least save us from our temporary misery with Taysom Hill there. All right, that was our look at the Saints. We got plenty more to do. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back.